Eagles and football fans, and welcome back to our Eagles Therapy Podcast. My name is Basil.
And I'm Baz.
And we are recording Thursday, January 25th, 2024. Just getting ready to preview upcoming games on Sunday. It's championship weekend. NFC and AFC championship games both being played on Sunday, which we are excited for. Right, Dad?
Yeah, we are, but I wish our team was playing.
Yeah, I mean, I almost don't because it would be more painful to watch them lose historically bad.
No, I agree. But I mean, it's just, I look back to last year and it was just such an exciting day. We knew we were going to win. We knew we were going to beat the 49ers no matter who was quarterback, no matter who was the running back.
Yeah, back then.
We just knew it was going to happen. So it was great. It would have been wonderful. But we're here getting ready for the games. It's going to be a good day. You know, they start late in the for us later in the afternoon, so it's kind of nice. Yeah. There's no early morning, this, that, or anything. You can take care of business and then be sitting down in front of the TV to watch those late games. You know, the first game at 1, the second game at 4:30.
Yep.
So it's going to be good. I'm looking for some good games. Hopefully they're, they fall into place the way I'm hoping for, so that Super Bowl Sunday's an enjoyable day.
Yeah.
But it's going to be good.
Yeah. As always, we'll before we jump into it, want to give a little press to the club. We are part of the Philadelphia Eagles fan club in Colorado Springs. We'd love for you to join it if you live in the Colorado Springs area and you're an Eagles fan or a Philadelphia fan of any kind. We meet at Frankie's on Powers and Galley here in Colorado Springs for every Eagles game. And we're looking forward to possibly meeting for some other sporting events depending on what the other teams do and stuff like that. The Sixers in the playoffs maybe again, or the Phillies, stuff like that down the line. We'll see how that goes, but just join that group, and we'd love to see you down at Frankie's when we're back in the season or however it works. But come on down and have a good time.
Well, we're thinking of doing a draft thing this year again.
Yes, we did the draft last year. We'll do it again.
It was fun.
Year.
There's been 10 or 15 people, and we watched our team and watched the draft and yelled and screamed, and it was great.
It was a lot of fun. All right, going right into it, the Chiefs, they are going to Baltimore to play the Ravens at 1 o'clock on Sunday. You got a weather report for me, Dan?
Yes, I do. It's going to be 47 degrees, 10 to 15 mile an hour winds, but it's going to be sunny. There's no snow. There's no rain. There's 10 or 15. That's kind of a calm day, really, when you think about it. So it should be perfect for football. It should be perfect for the Ravens to do their thing, hopefully, and move the ball all over the Chiefs. But we'll see what happens. They had that midseason dip, and then last week, of course, Buffalo blew it again. So, we're looking for a good one there. At least the weather will not hamper the game.
Probably not, yeah. So I was going to ask you what team you're rooting for, but I guess
I'm pulling for Baltimore, of course. I like not – it's just, Kansas City, the whole thing. They've had their chance. They've had their shot. They probably should not have won last week, but, they just know how to win. And craziest stat I heard was that, Mahomes has been in every year in the league. He's been in the AFC Championship game, which is incredible.
Except his rookie year, but yes, he didn't play. So yes,
right.
Every year he started in the league.
Correct. From the beginning of the year.
Yes, he's been in the AFC Championship.
It's amazing.
Game. It's a bummer. It's unfortunate. I'm going for the Ravens. It's hard. It's unfortunate because my buddy is a big Chiefs fan, and I liked to support them for him, but they beat us in the Super Bowl last year, and,
right.
And there was a time, and I told him about it, and I told a lot of people about it. There was a time where it's funny how different things become.
Right.
There was a time where I was rooting for the Chiefs in the Super Bowl against the Niners, and I was rooting my butt off for them because
Andy Reid, he was our coach.
Yeah, it was their first year.
He would get his Super Bowl.
Yeah. Definitely. He had never won one. They hadn't won one in forever.
Yeah.
I was definitely rooting for them. We had already gotten ours, so I was not as I was excited for them. And it's funny how quickly it flips.
Yeah.
I probably would have cheered for them over the Ravens a few years ago, but now here I am cheering for the Ravens over them. And
right.
We said how it is. It's just funny how it changes over time. But game's going to be at 1 o'clock. I'm excited for it. I think it'd be a really good game. I'm not expecting that great of a game for the other game that we have going. Let's go ahead and jump into that, which is the Lions. They're going to be going west to Santa Clara to play the Niners at 4:30 on Sunday. What you got for weather there?
Well, I got weather there. It's going to be 69 degrees, 10 to 15 mile an hour winds.
Wow.
Breezes, whatever. But I don't think it's going to make a big factor in the game. Now, I know you're saying that, you don't expect a good game, but, the biggest thing is if they can get to Purdy. Purdy, he looked terrible last week. He looked terrible 2 weeks ago. Nobody sees the opportunity. The Packers had an opportunity to win that game last week, and they really blew it. It's a shame. But, they're not as mighty as I think they were maybe, let's say, a month or a month and a half ago. Depends if Debo plays. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. But, he's been, he was injured and he was out of the game early last week. That's a huge piece of the game. Detroit, I think, is a little better as far as defensive rush defense.
Yeah.
And they've got some good stars on the outside. You got Aiden Hutchinson. You got a couple other guys that are good. They got GJ back there picking off every ball that comes his direction, tipped his way. So,
frustrating.
If they can get to Purdy and make him throw some bad ones like he did last week, it's very possible they can do it. But it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's not going to be easy. They got a really good defense.
Yeah.
They've gotten better every week. They got great coaching. They got great head coach. Great stars on the play. They've got them everywhere. So it's going to be tough, but I'll be pulling for Detroit. Hopefully they can, get to their first Super Bowl ever. So that would be awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, rooting for Detroit as well. We've talked about it on here a million times. We don't like the Niners. We like the Lions. It's easy. Easy as that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Lions, it'd be a great story for them to finally get to their first Super Bowl ever. And just great to see, especially just from a few years ago, they were like 0-10-1 at one point, or was it 2 years ago? I think.
Yeah,
they were 0-10-1 or 0-9-1.
Yeah, they were
just
awful.
brutal, and they're the first ever team to go 0-16. Like,
yes,
just really cool to see that they're back in it, and they have a great coach. They have a quarterback who I think really should have been a Pro Bowler this year over Stafford, but a really good quarterback. I think he's been great ever since his second, third year in the league.
Yeah.
He struggled early as a rookie, of course.
Well, he's had problems with different coaching and things, but then he gets traded.
Even in his down years, I was like, this guy's great. Like, and people were always saying, it's a bummer because the narrative did begin when the Rams won it without him. They got Stafford and they went and won it. And it was like, oh yeah, if they just didn't have Goff, it's like, okay, yeah, but I think Goff is a really good quarterback. It's going to be a good battle of quarterbacks this weekend. That's for sure.
Got to, watch his mistakes. He is prone to he's a little bit of a gunslinger as well. Throws in the coverage and things like that. But if he can keep that in check, I think they got a great shot at winning the game.
Yeah.
It's the biggest, their defense, Detroit's defense against San Francisco's offense.
Yeah.
If you can move the ball on them, that's fine. But if you can shut down the offense, like I think last week they got kicked in the face a few times and they looked sad. They looked like they didn't know what to do now.
It's true.
Of course, that hurt when Debo went out of the game, of course, but he's a fantastic player.
Yeah, we'll see about that. And let me go ahead and jump into some numbers and some injuries as well. Baltimore and Kansas City got a really good matchup here. As far as offense, Kansas City was 11th in yards per game. At the end of the season, Baltimore was 5th. Passing yards, Kansas City 6th, Baltimore 21st. So not a lot of passing down there, but Baltimore was the number one rushing offense. They were first. Kansas City was 19th. Kansas City on offense points per game, they were 15th, the middle of the pack. Baltimore was 4th, so they have a big edge on them there. And then third down percentage, Kansas City was great, top 6. They were 6th, and Baltimore was 8th. So that's two really good offenses. It's funny how Kansas City, those numbers, despite all those drops and all that horrible play by some of their wide receivers, they still end up towards the top in a lot of their categories.
It was amazing that the guys that dropped so many balls, but that's to that game. That's going to be with Jackson, he just has so many different ways of getting out of the way.
He just has weapons.
If doesn't have it, he can run for 30 yards and look like he's walking. He's just amazing, and he's got a gun for an arm. If he can get it going, I don't think there's any stopping him.
Yeah.
But I would never, ever go against Kansas City in these games because they just seem to win every game.
Yeah. Two great defenses as well. On the defensive side, Kansas City was 3rd in yards per game, Baltimore 9th. Passing yards, Kansas City was 4th, Baltimore 6th. Rushing yards, both were pretty not so great against the run. They were kind of middle of the pack. Kansas City was tied for 17th, and Baltimore was 14th. Points per game, they're 1-2. Baltimore was the number one scoring defense, allowing points per game in the NFL.
Right.
Kansas City was number 2.
Wow.
And then third down percentage, both top 10, Baltimore 7th, and Kansas City 10th. So
that's huge.
And it makes sense. I know it shouldn't be surprising that they have all these numbers up top because, of course, that's why they're in the playoffs this late.
Well, Kansas City's got a deceiving good defensive line.
Yeah.
They may be vacant for a while, then all of a sudden they're getting their 3 sacks in a row.
Oh, yeah. It's true.
They got some big players, Karlaftis, other guys like that. They're just really, really good players.
Yeah. Some injuries to look out for on Kansas City side. Isaiah Pacheco, he has not practiced the first 2 days of the week. We are recording Friday, and the newest one hasn't come out yet, so we're not too sure. They were missing
Thursday night.
I'm sorry, we're recording Thursday.
That's okay.
Sorry.
They might have an injury report tomorrow, but yeah, you're
Friday,
right.
They'll have an injury report tomorrow. We're recording Thursday, so we don't know status for the game yet.
Sure.
But yeah, Sky Moore, he hasn't practiced this week. Isaiah Pacheco hasn't practiced this week so far. Joe Tooney has not practiced this week so far. And then L'Jarius Sneed, another huge one, and Trent McDuffie. Now they're both full participants or limited participants, but they're still for them to be on the injury report is big.
Yeah, well, the biggest player for them is Pacheco. That guy, he runs like he is on fire.
Well, let me also say their biggest player really is Rashee Rice, their wide receiver. He's on the injury report as well, but he was a full participant both days.
Right.
Kadarius Toney is listed and Marquez Valdez-Scantling listed. They're probably all fine, but they're just kind of taking it easy on them.
Right.
At this point in the season, you're in game, 19?
Yes.
20?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's rest. It's, if you got a tweak or something here, let's just take it easy.
Yeah.
You'll be fine. You'll be fine on Sunday.
Yeah. Baltimore injuries they're dealing with. Marlon Humphrey's been limited participant this week, and then Rock Ya-Sin as well. Other than that, other guys are kind of lesser. I don't really know their names too well. But Rock Ya-Sin did not participate today. He's another one of their corners. So two of their starting corners missing or a little bit injured in practice a little bit. So keep an eye out for that. That might be a big deal going into the game. We don't know. Let's go ahead and jump over and talk about.
I got a question for you.
Go ahead. What's up?
How much of an importance do you think the Baltimore home game? Because Kansas City,
it's huge.
They've been home all these games, all these playoff games, and then last week they were on the road and won.
Yeah.
And then this week now they're going to be on the road.
Yeah.
You think
this is
going to be tough?
I mean, this is huge. This is
the best team they've played all year. I think Baltimore's been amazing.
Say, this is the best team Kansas City played all year, except for Week 9 Eagles. No, I'm just joking.
Right. I get you.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. This is the best team they played all year, which it makes sense. The AFC Championship game, but definitely the best team they played all year, and it's huge for them to be at home, Baltimore.
Definitely,
because Kansas City at home, it's kind of a joke.
Yeah, in the playoffs.
Yes. Oh yeah, you're not gonna. I mean, it's almost confirmed they will go to the Super Bowl. you know what I mean?
For sure.
But for the Ravens to have this at home, it's a big one. It's huge, and I don't know how much of a you said the weather's not going to really factor into it.
Shouldn't be, yeah.
And I mean, even then, both teams are used to playing in the cold with Baltimore and Kansas City, so it's not really it's a really equally matched teams.
There's no advantage in the field. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
just the fans.
Two really good offenses, two great defenses. It's going to be fun. I'm really excited for these games. And talk some smack.
But this is the way it's going to be. This is the way it is though, because they both. Kansas City had that big dip in the middle of the season where they didn't look good and everybody's knocking them down. But they got it going end of December, early January. That's the way it works in the NFL.
Yeah.
You got to be going up, at that time of year. So Baltimore's never really had a dip. I don't think they might have lost a game or two this year, but I don't remember who they played and when they lost. But
14-3.
They've been on a good roll here for a while, and they haven't really looked bad, at all, really.
They're 13-4. I'm assuming one of their losses was
probably last
game of the season. Right. Yeah, they lost to Pittsburgh when they rested their starters.
Right.
Before that, they had not lost. They lost to Cleveland back in on November 12th.
That's a while back.
And they lost to Pittsburgh. They got swept by Pittsburgh this year.
That's crazy.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah,
and then
that's crazy.
Early in the season, what is this, regular season, they lost to Indianapolis.
Wow.
Remember that game?
I don't remember that game, but
I don't remember it either.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah, they lost. So that is really weird. But I mean, they only lost to playoff teams. Am I correct?
Well,
Pittsburgh twice. Indianapolis did not. I'm sorry, you're right. They almost did.
But I mean, again, that was week 4 or 5, something like that.
Week 3, it's
so,
true.
I mean, that's bound to happen early on. But once they hit November, December, they lost to Cleveland, like you said, November 12th. Cleveland was good at one point, like really one of the best defenses in the league. And then they kind of fell apart in the playoffs, unfortunately.
In Houston.
But they should be good.
Yeah. All right. Let me go ahead and jump over to the Lions and the Niners. Starting off at the top, Detroit and San Fran. They are number 2 and 3 in offense. Detroit number 3, Niners number 2 in total yards per game. Detroit is second in the league in passing yards. San Fran was 4th. Detroit was 5th in rushing yards. San Fran 3rd. Points per game, Detroit was 5th. And Niners were 3rd.
Man, they are close.
Yeah, I know, right?
Really
Top
close.
5 in all their first categories.
No
and then third down percentage where it changes a little bit. Detroit was tied for 10th, and the Niners were 4th. So a little bit of a difference there, but still top 10 all around for both of their offenses throughout all of their stats. Defensively, this is where things are a little bit different. Yards per game, Detroit was 20th. San Fran was 7th. Passing yards, Detroit was 27th. San Fran was 14th. Rushing yards, Detroit was 2nd.
Yeah.
But San Fran was third.
Yeah. So that's
Points
huge.
per game, and Detroit was 23rd. San Fran, third.
Right.
Third down percentage as a defense, this is where Detroit has a big up. 10th, tied for 10th, and Niners were tied for 23rd.
For third down percentage against.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, against.
Well, the
percentage.
one thing about that though, the Detroit running game, especially Gibbs, the rookie.
Yeah, especially as of late.
That's going to say in the last month he's been really, really good, and of course, help me out with the names. St. Brown. He's
Amon-Ra.
amazing.
Amon-Ra St. Brown.
He's amazing.
Yeah,
he's only gotten better.
1,500 yards, 10 receiving touchdowns. As opposed to Brandon Ayuk, who had 1,300 yards and 7 touchdowns.
Yeah.
The rushing thing, that's the big thing. Christian McCaffrey, of course, best running back in the league.
Oh, yeah.
David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs as a duo, are they that far behind? They combined for over 1,900 rushing yards together.
Yeah.
David Montgomery had 13 rushing touchdowns. Jahmyr Gibbs, I don't know, but he probably
he's
can't imagine he didn't have a few.
Yeah,
of
I'm
them.
sure he's up there.
And then Goff and Purdy both threw for 30 touchdowns, Purdy for 31, and both threw for over 4,250 yards.
Here's
Goff
another
with
thing about that.
4,500.
In this game, you got the two quarterbacks that are not running quarterbacks.
Yeah, it's true.
Where in
other
the
game,
AFC,
yeah.
I mean, Mahomes kind of only when he needs to.
He can run. Though.
Jackson will take it off, kind of
Yeah.
like a Hurts thing, where he'll just run whenever, and you're kind of like, oh, be careful out there, you don't get hurt. But
Yeah.
Purdy and Goff, they do not
really runners.
they can get out of trouble.
They can get out of trouble, but
and they'll get you first down, and but a very conservative running game as far as those quarterbacks go. So it is a tale of two worlds for both different games.
It is. I know.
You got mobile quarterbacks that can throw the ball behind their back 50 yards.
Yep.
And then you got the two guys in the NFC who are more conservative, more in the pocket, give them some time, and they'll pick you apart. That's for sure, especially Purdy.
Oh,
so we'll see what happens.
Absolutely. Injuries that we're looking at over on the Detroit Niners game. Sam Laporta, he didn't participate in practice the other day, but he did today. Or today's Thursday. Yeah, he did today. Josh Reynolds, limited participant a bit. Frank Ragnow, their center, he got hurt in the game the other day.
Yeah.
Went down kind of scary.
He's tough.
Jonah Jackson, their guard, he hasn't participated all week either, so that's big to look at. Niners also got some big ones. Mostly rest, I'm assuming. Nick Bosa didn't participate. It says resting player.
He hasn't been hurt. Yeah.
Debo Samuel, of course, he didn't
shoulder.
He didn't practice yesterday, but he did today.
Okay.
Limited.
Okay.
Trent Williams, he did not practice yesterday, but he's also a resting player.
Sure.
And then you got Eric Armstead, full participant. Dre Greenlaw, full participant.
He's good.
For the most part, he's great.
Greenlaw's a great back, man.
For the most part, these guys are. They're probably just taking it easy on you. At this point in the season, like we said, you got to do it.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah. All right, you good? Anything else to say about the games this week? Just excited about it?
I did hear that the Detroit, you said their tight end, Laporta?
Laporta, yes.
I did hear that Detroit signed Zach Ertz.
Correct. I forgot about that.
And he's on the practice squad and eligible for elevation.
Yeah.
So it's very possible.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, his best days are kind of behind him.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
Of course, we love Zach Ertz. And, I mean, he can get out there and catch you 2 or 3 passes, baby. No, it's downstairs.
We don't have a picture of him up here.
Yeah, it's downstairs. But he could do some 10 or 15 yard catches.
Oh, absolutely.
Out of the blue if you're not looking for him. And like I say, Laporta, didn't he get turned on his head that one game, a couple games?
Yeah.
Yeah, he got hit pretty good there. So he's still not practicing.
Yeah.
Or still not playing.
Yeah, no, he didn't practice. He'll be playing.
They might bring Ertz up. They might have Ertz. So look for that if you're before the game to see if they bring his name up.
Oh, I expect them to definitely have him playing. That they're going to bring him up. Obviously, what kind of role will he have?
Yeah,
not pretty minimal. They wouldn't throw the ball
to a safety valve, just
to
have a guy there.
They wouldn't throw the ball to him more than 2 times in this game, I would say, but unless he caught them both for 40 yards.
But he's been out for weeks. He hasn't played for 5 or 6 weeks or even more. He got injured.
Hasn't played since like week 4.
Yeah, he got injured early.
He hasn't played at all.
But he's back. I think he hurt was it knee or?
I believe it was his knee.
Yeah. But he's been out. But like to say, he's back. I mean, he can play now.
Let's talk about some of the coaching moves for the Eagles.
There you go.
So looks like they were going to be hiring Vic Fangio. It's hard for me to say that name for some reason. Vic Fangio, going to be hiring him as the defensive coordinator for the Eagles. What do you like about this? What do you don't like? Tell me what you got.
Well, I know we talked about it earlier, but Fangio was the defense coordinator for the USFL Stars back in 1984-85 season. Yep. I was a big fan. I had season tickets for a couple seasons till they moved to Baltimore, but they had a great defense. They were the number 1 defense then.
Yeah.
He's been around. He's had some good years. AP Coach of the Year in 18 when he was with the
Assistant coach,
Bears.
yeah,
And
assistant coach.
you said he was, I think, first.
Yeah, that was when
Their
they were
defense was first.
They were third in yards allowed and first in points and first in takeaways.
Yeah, so there you go. But I think we needed. Yeah, we always talk about it. I want a younger coach, but right now I think we need some stability. I think we need, especially if we bring back some of the elders on the defensive line that we were talking about. Hopefully,
Yeah.
And just to give the team some confidence, but hopefully he can see some stuff and develop some of the younger fellas who got a lot of playing time this year because, as we know, our defense kind of fell apart there at the end of the year. So hopefully he's the right guy. I think if he's not the guy, that could really hurt Nick's
I agree.
coaching in the years to come. But
Because they wanted to get him last year.
yeah, he was
They
an
couldn't get
assistant.
him.
A consultant. We saw he was signed for 2 weeks for the Super Bowl to be a little defense coordinator consultant.
Yeah.
Defense was great last year. Defense was great. Second half, not
Fell
as
apart.
good as the first, but
Yeah.
in the fourth quarter, we had some issues, but they still, were tough. I mean, the punt return was a killer, but we gave him a short field, and then that awful penalty at the end of the game.
Yes, let's not.
But, we could talk about other things, but I think it's good. I think it's going to be a good thing, and hopefully he brings some guys with him, or at least help some of our other coordinators, linebackers coach and things like that. Hopefully he helps find us some linebackers, and we got the draft coming up, so hopefully we're going to draft one of the top cornerbacks or a safety.
Yeah, notable things to say about him this season, earlier this season.
And he was with Miami.
As Miami defensive coordinator. The defense was 10th in passing yards, 22nd in points, not so great. Notable to say they were without a lot of their starters throughout the year, including Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard, two, I would say, top 10, top 15 corners in the league. They were 8th in takeaways, which, I can't imagine we were. 8th isn't. No, it's not top 5, but it's top 10, and we had to be bottom 2.
Oh, we had to be bottom 5.
Yeah,
right? We had to be.
They were pretty darn good against the rush as well. 7th in rushing defense. I think not so great against the rushing touchdowns, but it's hard to break this thing down.
Yeah.
But the total as a passing defense, 15th in passing yards against them. So middle of the pack, but 10th in total yards allowed. I'll take that. And 8th in takeaways is just.
Middle of the pack, missing some key players, if you will, in the beginning from who were your starters in the beginning of the season. So I don't think you can do much worse than that than what we ended up with this year.
And I'll say the nice thing here is what I have is that his defenses, they ranked in the league's top 5 in yards allowed in 8 of the last 13 years, while placing in the NFL's top 5 in fewest points allowed 7 times in the last 13 years. So I like it, and it's also, I will also mention he is from Dunmore, Pennsylvania. He coached at he went to East Stroudsburg, the college.
Yeah.
You know where that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Went to Dunmore High School. So, yeah, he's been around Pennsylvania a lot. He's been in the building before. He knows Philly. So I like that. And for me, the biggest thing is he was once a special assistant to defensive players and linebackers coach and stuff like that for the Ravens and the Niners, and defensive coordinator for the Niners. And anytime you're a coordinator or a coach for the Niners or the Ravens in this league, I feel like you're pretty good because those defenses have been great ever since I was in diapers.
They've been good. No, you're right. They have definitely been better top 10, top 15 than not.
Yes.
So in the last 10 or 15 years.
Yep. Things to look forward to. You have any thoughts on an offensive coordinator? We haven't made any decisions there.
We've had a few people write in. We had a few things. Kellen Moore, of course, the ex-Cowboy who went to
Chargers.
The Chargers. And of course, now you got what's his name?
Harbaugh.
Harbaugh just came in, so he's going to bring his own guy in, I'm sure. But he's one name. But we would definitely like someone who's a younger, innovative play caller that knows how to set plays up, kind of a chess player when it comes to offensive play calling. And I would say probably 180 degrees from what we had this season.
Yes.
Because, man.
Yeah, I want Kellen. I'm looking for Kellen Moore to be our offensive coordinator. If not him, I would love Eric Bieniemy. I don't know the possibility of that, but I would love to have Eric Bieniemy as an offensive coordinator here. Obviously, we all saw in the press conference that Nick has announced, the offense is going to be the offensive coordinators, and the defensive is going to be the defensive coordinators, and he's going to be a head coach.
Right.
That's all he's going to do,
Okay.
So I'm looking forward.
I'll see it when I believe it.
I want a guy like Kellen Moore, or I wouldn't mind. I would love a guy like Eric Bieniemy. We'll see what happens there, but I'm just at the point now where I don't want a first-year guy.
Right.
Oh, let's get that guy, or let's get the guy who's there. Get him. He was here last year as a defensive backs coach. The big one, Darnell
Wilson.
Denard Wilson. I'm sorry.
Wilson.
He's the defensive backs coach in Baltimore, and people are like, oh, bring him on as the defensive coordinator. I'm like, okay, I know he could be great, but he's the defensive backs coach right now.
Right.
He's not the defensive coordinator.
No experience.
He would have to
DC.
he'd have to become the defensive coordinator, and
yeah.
I understand. He's been great, and it was a bummer we let him go, and it looks bad, but you don't know anything. And at this point, for me, while the window is still open, while we have AJ, while we have Devontae, while we have Jalen, while we have Dallas Goedert, while we still have Lane Johnson in this offensive line, and Jordan Mailata and Cam Jurgens
right.
and Landon Dickerson, while we have these guys, we can't. The window's open. It has to be now. There's no, we want a guy and he'll learn the next few years.
Rebuild.
No, we can't. Yeah. That's why I'm happy with the Vic Fangio. I don't want a first-year defensive coordinator. Right. We can't afford that right now. We don't need that. We have too young of a team to have young guys learning on the job.
Right.
We need a guy who's been doing it for years. He's been a defensive coordinator for 40 years.
Experience. 40 years.
Yeah. So that's what I want on the offensive coordinator side too. I want a guy who's been around for a while, been doing this for 4 or 5 years. Doesn't have to be 20 years, but 40 years. But just we need experience. We cannot have another rookie coordinator or offensive or defensive coordinator.
Right. I'm with you.
Yep. Moving on to stuff in the playoffs. So still mention some Eagles that are still left around the playoffs. Ravens, we got Nelson Aguilar and Ronald Darby, 2 former Super Bowl winning players. On the Niners, they got Matt Pryor and Javon Hargrave. The Lions still have Nate Sudfeld, former Eagles Super Bowl winning quarterback.
That's right.
C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and former Super Bowl winning left tackle for the Eagles, Halapuli Vaitai. And then on the Chiefs, Ian Book and Prince Tega Winogo are still there right now.
You just love saying those names, don't you?
I do.
I never get them right.
You can't. This guy's never pronounced a name right in
Tui
his life,
Pelotu.
which is hilarious. Oh, you never say that. That's the first time you said that right. This dude, it's funny because you would think growing up with a name of Basil Rabeda, like people see our name and they think it's, first of all, a spice, and then they think it's a plant. They're like rutabaga, Rabadagundigan. Oh my gosh, you'd think you'd know how to pronounce some names right.
Not some of those guys.
I know. All right, in other news, you got anything else on football? I'm going to jump over.
No, go ahead.
In other news, 76ers, 29-13. I last checked, they were losing. Let me pull up the score right now while I'm doing that. But the other day, as you know, because I gave you a phone call, and I gave my friend Brian a phone call as well because he's a Nuggets fan. But Joel Embiid dropped 70 points in a game.
Right, I did hear that.
It was the 14th game of 70-plus points in NBA history. Whoa, that's some volume issues here. This isn't my normal laptop. I'm sorry, everybody. 14th time that a player has dropped 70 points in an NBA game. Embiid is the 9th player to ever do so because a lot of those were Wilt Chamberlain.
Repeat customers.
Exactly. 9th player to ever drop 70 points in a game, and he, of course, broke the all-time 76ers franchise record for points in a game, which I think previously was held by Allen Iverson. It must have been, and I didn't look up the exact number. Again, I'm on the wrong computer here, folks. I'm sorry. I don't have anything on the Flyers, but right now the Sixers are losing 110-89, just ended the third quarter, so they're getting kind of trounced.
Still time left.
It's getting trounced a little bit by the Pacers, who are looking like a really good team. The Sixers are going to be in Denver Saturday afternoon, 3:30 is when the game starts. I'm going to be up in Denver visiting my pals. We're going to try to get around the game, like I said, maybe get some tickets, maybe not, but we're going to have some fun. I know that's for sure. But you got anything else to say?
Not really, no. Just hoping for some good games and some my teams to win.
Absolutely, yep. So, yeah, we're going Ravens-Lions.
Ravens-Lions.
Ravens-Lions. All right. Go Ravens, go Lions, everybody. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. If you like our Eagles Therapy podcast, do us a favor, rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. If you're watching on YouTube, please like and subscribe down below. We'd love to hear your comments, so comment down below, and we'll comment back. We like to hear your predictions. Let us know who you want to win. Let us know who you think will win. Let us know if you have a player that you think is going to go off, or or if you don't like Debo Samuel, let us know.
Right.
But other than that, from us here at Our Eagles Therapy Podcast, I'm Basil.
And I'm Baz.
Go Birds.
And fly, Eagles, fly.